Okay, first things first, before we get started, I've reached my first milestone of 100 subscribers. So a big thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you who left a comment, y'all actually left me some pretty good ideas there. So I'm going to use some of those in future videos. Keep the comments coming. And also keep the likes coming, get my engagement up so I can help this channel grow faster. I actually have fun making these videos for you. And if you're watching for the first time, or if you've watched before and haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to this channel. Help me grow. I like to get to the next milestone by summertime, hopefully 500 subscribers. And also keep the comments coming. I actually got some pretty good ideas from the comment section of other videos. So if you have an idea or a comment about any of the videos, my comment sections are always open. Feel free to leave a comment. And also, feel free to leave a like on any of the videos also. It helps to get my engagement up with the comments and help bring awareness to my channel. And feel free to share these sorry about that. Feel free to share any of my videos that you find helpful or entertaining. I greatly appreciate that also. Again, thank you again. And I guess I get on with the video. This particular one is going to be about this one right here. This is my first ever attempt to mod any handheld. I've done repairs like replacing the stock screen or something like that, or putting it on a new housing for one that's might have been damaged or badly scratched up or something. I've done quite a few of these in the past. The ones always seem to get the broken hinge here. I replaced quite a few of these housings. But this was my first attempt to mod the screen. And I also did the amp mod on here. Oops. I picked it up in a minute. The audio amp mod on here also. But the problem with this one is, and by the way, when I turned it on, the screen was beautiful, by the way. The problem with this one was my shoulder button seemed to have stopped working. And also I couldn't get the closed completely. So one of the times I decided to take it back apart to check the shoulder button and try to get completely reseat, and I dropped it and slipped out. It slipped out of my hand and dropped and ripped the ribbon cable for the screen. I mean, this cable is still useful for the 32-pin connector on certain Game Boy Advance have a 32-pin connector. That end is still good. But I can't use it in this one because I ripped the 40-pin connector in. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this one, I'm just going to take the motherboard out of here. And I'm going to put in a whole new housing, new screen, let's see, new buttons. Basically, I'm just rebuilding. Just the only thing I'm using out here is the motherboard. This is the shell I'm going to use for it. I'll put this aside here. I'm going to put in this yellow shell. Let's see. That'll give it the rechargeable battery. The clean juice battery from, I think it's Retro 6. Yeah, Retro 6. Let's see, new screen. New ribbon cable, as you can see in there also. Where's my screen lens? Right here. New screen lens. I started to go for all black, but then I saw this one with the Pikachu on it, so I figured why not. So that's the gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild it. Like I said, the only thing I'm using is the motherboard out of here. That's it. First, I'm going to install my double-sided foam tape for the LCD. This is me creating a seal between the LCD and the front lens to hopefully keep dust out.
What could do that? I don't know. Whatever it's worth. Answer your questions if you answer mine. Why do you want to know so much about my ship? Friends, right? Old friends. You don't, do you? Because you don't exist. You're a fake. You're an image of the original, aren't you? Answer me!
With fast free Wi-Fi.
Have you been able to lock onto the away team? I am Captain, is that a Laboratory here? Sensors indicate energy readings.
I decided to go ahead and install the screen and the front lens back to back. This is me attempting to keep the amount of dust between the screen and the lens to a minimum.
The club's passed by the weapons must have disrupted our communicators.
Keep on working. I'll look for the captain and dump the pressure.
Here's a close-up of the Clean App mod that I already installed. Next I'm going to install this ribbon cable. I got to protect this screen. I can't find the one that came with this screen, so I'm going to have to go ahead and use some Captain tape instead. Just going to put a couple strips on the back of the screen to protect it.
This isn't your typical morning fire. Sometimes you feel lifted with a sense of freedom. Other times, grounded by the weight of responsibility. You know that people count on you every day.
I taped the ribbon cable down for extra security, but this is not really a necessary step. Connecting the screen to a ribbon cable would be much easier if I would have did this ahead of time before I taped it down. After I connected the screen and the ribbon cable, I went ahead and added some solder to the connection points for the wires for the brightness control. I added solder to the 3 pads. SEL goes to the select button, the R goes to the right shoulder button, and the L goes to the left shoulder button. And the G and D, which I guess is ground, doesn't get anything.
You may be sturdy, but you're not indestructible.
I went ahead and soldered my 3 wires to the 3 points on the ribbon cable.
My farmer's new car replacement pays to replace it with a new one of the same make and model. Get a whole lot of something with farmers' policy perks.
Turn to Minos to rescue the away team. Unfortunately, I have only one option left.
Okay, my first wire I ran from the R pad to the right shoulder button. I don't believe it matters which side you connect it to, as long as it's connected to one of the sides. And you see I ran through the hole in the motherboard, but I ended up relocating it later in the video.
Relinquishing command.
And here I'm trying to solder the left shoulder button wire on. As you see, it's having a tough time sticking, probably because I left that old burnt solder paste from when I tried to do this a couple of years ago. I kind of rage quit on this one.
What the?
And threw it aside for the last couple of years.
Make a whole lot of sense.
And even today, I still made a mistake by not cleaning it off before I started. I should have cleaned that old burnt flux off this board ahead of time, but I didn't. And was trying to do it as I go, and it led to an ugly chain of events, which you will see in this video. I added some fresh flux to hopefully get the wire to stick this time. I grabbed my soldering iron and saw it was pretty oxidized, so I decided to clean the tip of it off and add some fresh solder to the end of it to retin it. And I turned back towards the board and this happened.
Son of a bitch!
I knocked over my bottle of alcohol right on top of the Game Boy Advance. This is a result of me being careless and lazy. I should have screwed the cap back on instead of just setting it on top. This is a few hours later after I let it sit in front of the heat vent. And I decided to just cool off, go outside for a little bit, watch the sunset. Because just like this mod, it's been pretty cloudy lately. But I decided to just come back in and just finish it off. With the left shoulder button, I wired up. I'll clean out the flux residue with some alcohol, which I now actually sitting on a little stand next to me instead of on a work table. I'm using my heat gun to help it dry faster. I decided to move the wire for the right shoulder button back behind the motherboard. It just makes closing the housing just a little bit easier.
Increase to 70 microvolts. She's gone.
Removing the old wire and running the new wire to test pad 2. This is for the select button.
Capoeira is proven to deliver significant relief across bipolar depression. Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Capoeira treats both bipolar 1 and 2 depression, and in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain.
No training required.
In Wisconsin, demand for nurses is heating up, with pressure rising to fill that shortage. Pershing University.
Got my buttons and membranes installed, and now I'm installing the power switch slider.
Hi, I'm Lisa's Ori. What if the stethoscope is cold? What if you have to get a shot? What if
Here I removed the old broken ribbon cable. The speaker had broke away from the clean amp board, so I had to go ahead and solder it back on.
The creature is filled with rage. Undirected.
To the limit.
Now connecting the ribbon cable from the screen to the motherboard.
I have intercepted what appears to be a distress signal.
Let me hear it.
Sean, I am on the alarm station. We have a serious problem here. Can't seem to fix it.
I'm making sure that it's fully seated before I lock it down.
Transmission is coming. Has gone before.
Beverly Hills 90210 is back on its very own channel. Something we are going to remember for the rest of our lives. I'm not gonna get back.
I put the back on, but I didn't screw it together. I think at this point I was just really anxious to see what it looked like. Fucking destroyed it. Sorry about the language. I guess it was just one thing to think that it destroyed, but to actually see it in person, I guess it just kind of slipped up. I took it apart and tried drying it out a little bit more, and somehow it ended up looking worse.
Before I play completely together.
Soviet Vanguard. They decided to let you have it. We'll discuss the payment. That's terrific.
Just what I thought would happen.
To a fair deal payment. May we beam down with you and discuss? Of course. You are quite welcome.
We appreciate your hospitality.
It's probably pointless.
We appreciate. I'm so afraid as if this, everything will be back to stability.
Let's go. Mamma mia.
Just how I feel about this one. Yeah. Let me see if I can dry it out somehow.
I decided to take it back apart and attempt to try to dry it out a little bit more. I didn't have high hopes of it really working, but I figured I'd just try to do something.
History has proved again and again that whenever mankind interferes with a less developed civilization, no matter how well intentioned that interference may be,
I'll do that several more times. Oh, no, 2 or 3 more times. Let it cool down, then I'll do it again.
Using the heat gun, didn't do much of anything. It still looked pretty much the same. So I put it to the side for about a week. Okay, here it is a week later. It looks better. Probably about as good as it's gonna get, but it still looks crappy. So I went ahead and ordered a replacement screen. I also had to order a replacement speaker because I ripped one of the wires from the back of the speaker itself. When I was taking it apart the 1,000 times I took it apart. So I replaced the screen and the speakers. Or not speakers, the speaker. Once that's done, the inside is done, then I go ahead and do the rechargeable battery and put the stickers on and call this one done. I mean, I suppose it's playable, but I wouldn't want to play it like this. Now, I want it to look as good as possible, so I'm going to replace the screen and get this one all up to par. Hopefully it'll be here in a week, and I'll do an update video then. In the meantime, please subscribe so you can get the updates on a future video. You can share this video or any other video. You can leave comments. My comments are always open. And I will see you on the next one. And thank you again.